up, guys? Welcome to my video. Today I'm be ranking all 12 Tim Burton films that I've seen from the worst to the best. Now before we start, do the like button, subscribe, and post notifications so you know for your video. Let's just start. So Tim Burton is one of my favorite directors of all time. I enjoy mostly everything that he puts out. I enjoy them because of their horror tone. They all have a dark tone to them, and I really like that, and I really enjoy Tim Burton's style. So without further ado, let's get started. So coming in at last place is going to be Alice in Wonderland. Now this film, to me, is not very good. It's when I was a kid, I watched it and I enjoyed it. But as I got older and I started watching it again and rewatched it more, I found it to be pretty boring and lifeless. Now Tim Burton's films are meant to be these dark films for kids, but this I felt like was dark but lifeless at the same time, so I did not enjoy it at all, and that's why Alice in Wonderland comes in at number 12. Number 11 is going to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, this is just slightly better than Alice in Wonderland. I am not a huge fan of this film. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is far superior to this film, and I didn't really think that this film really needs to be made. Johnny Depp is awesome. Johnny Depp is great and everything. He's one of my favorite actors of all time, but him as Willy Wonka, while it is different, it doesn't really work. Gene, from the first film in 1974, he was a perfect Willy Wonka. Perfect Willy Wonka, a perfect interpretation of this character. But Johnny Depp tries to sort of mimic Gene's performance while making it his own, and I don't think it really worked at all. And most of that came down to Tim Burton's direction. So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory comes in number 11. Number 10 is going to be Dark Shadows. Now this film is very different. It's a vampire film. It's okay. It's not a bad film. I did give it a positive review because I would say that it's a film that you can watch and enjoy, but it's not a film I would see myself rewatching a lot. This is definitely one of the weaker Tim Burton films for me because while the score is good, the characters are great. There are a lot of story choices and some choices with the score, not Danny Elfman's own composed score, but the other songs added into the film that don't really fit. So overall, Dark Shadows is a very disappointing film, but it's still an okay film that you can watch. So Dark Shadows comes in number 10. Number 9 is going to be Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now I remember watching this for the first time in the theater, 2016, and was terrified after I watched it. The Hollows, and Baron, played by Samuel Jackson, who is fantastic in this film. Very, very creepy imagery. The fact that they're invisible really helps the film and helps the story. A film about kids who have magic and use them against monsters, that is my type of film. Where this film drops down for me is just the entire, the other side characters. The other side characters, while interesting and unique, are not that very enjoyable for me. I did not really care about most of the characters in this film. It is a very slow film because it is long and there's a lot of story to tell, but I think they could have cut out a lot of story elements in this film and made it a simpler story, more concise, and I think it would have been a much better film. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children comes in at number 9. Number 8 is going to be Batman Returns. Now I have a lot of nostalgia for this film. This is one of the first superhero films I saw along with the original Batman, and of course you have Bruce Wayne played by Michael Keaton, fantastic. Selena Kyle, Catwoman, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Danny DeVito as the Penguin. They're all fantastic. I really enjoyed every single character in this film. Where this film drops down for me is that it is a little too silly for me. It's a little too much Tim Burton. And the first film, which I'll get to later, sort of was able to balance it while still having the comedy that Tim Burton has in his films and the silliness. It still knew that it was a superhero film about Bruce Wayne. This film, while still about Bruce Wayne, is a little too much on the comedy side, which I did not really enjoy. So it's an okay film. It's better than average. I would rewatch it. So Batman Returns comes in at number 8. Number 7 is Batman. Now, I really enjoy this film. Um, it's not top tier Tim Burton for me, but it is definitely a film that I will rewatch just because of number one, my nostalgia for it. I have a ton of nostalgia for Batman. My great as always, but this film has Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton both in opposite roles. You have Jack Nicholson's Joker, Batman played by Michael Keaton. Those two characters were the greatest characters in this film. And arguably, for me, Jack Nicholson is my favorite Joker of all time. And Bruce Wayne, for Batman, Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman of all time. So, arguably, this is going to be my favorite Tim Burton Batman film. But this film, while I have the nostalgia for it, it does, like I said, with Batman Returns, is a little too silly, and there are some boring sequences in this film. The pacing is a little off, but other than that, I thoroughly enjoy Batman. So Batman comes in at number 7. Number 6 is going to be Sleepy Hollow. Now, Sleepy Hollow is a film that I hadn't seen until around last year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is one of Tim Burton's best films, and from this film on to number 1, I thoroughly enjoy all these films. I think these films are great films. So Sleepy Hollow, you have Johnny Depp. He is phenomenal in this film. I really, really enjoyed his character in this film. He plays Ichabod. And the story of Sleepy Hollow is a dark story, but of course, knowing Tim Burton, he made this film darker than it needed to be, or than it should have been, but it worked. It worked because this is a film that can go dark. The Headless Horseman cutting people's heads off, very bloody film, but a very, very enjoyable film nonetheless, and I love this film. So Sleepy Hollow comes in number 6. Number 5 is going to be Corpse Bride. Now, this is one of my favorite Tim Burton animated films because he knows how to make animated films for kids while still having those secret horror vibes in the film. This film is a great animated film, great kids film, but it does have those horror elements in it, which I think worked very, very well. And overall, it's just a very enjoyable animated film. So Corpse Bride comes in at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Frankenweenie. Now, I thoroughly enjoy this film. Frankenweenie is one of my favorite animated films by Tim Burton, of course. And I really enjoyed that twist on the Frankenstein story where now it's with a dog instead of a human. And, of course, the main character, Victor Frankenstein, is the scientist. And I thought it works very, very well. The third act, all those animals just terrorizing town. You have the mayor running around. Great, great sequences overall. And I thoroughly enjoy it. So Frankenweenie comes in at number 4. Number 3 is going to be Beetlejuice. Now, Michael Keaton, once again, phenomenal as Beetlejuice. Easily one of his best performances of all time. One of the most iconic performances of all time. One of my favorite Michael Keaton performances of all time. Tim Burton knew exactly who to cast as Beetlejuice. And this film, while it is dark, it is lighter than most of the films on this list. It's funny. It's got great characters. And it is sort of... This film feels like an amusement park ride, but in terms of the audience feeling like they're going on a roller coaster, because we were going to all different locations in this film, and Tim Burton knew how to have a wacky and humorous sense of nature in this film, but he also, like I said earlier, keeps the horror roots, because this film is creepy. Beetlejuice, the snake scene is one of the most iconic sequences in the entire film, and easily the creepiest sequence in this film, and it is dark. So Beetlejuice, one of my favorite Halloween films of all time, so that's why it comes in number 3. Number 2 is going to be Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Now, I never expected me, as who I am, to like this film, because while I do like musicals, this one did sound a little too corny for me, because it's a musical. You have horror roots in this film, and I didn't really think it was going to work all that well, but man, was I wrong. When I've watched this film for the first time, it surprised me. Alan Rickman is a standout in this film. He is one of my favorite actors of all time. He played Severus Snape. Of course, he passed away in 2016. But his performance is phenomenal. He is easily one of the best characters in this entire film. Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd, Helena Bonham Carter as his wife, fantastic characters, and I really thought that everyone in this film did a great job. So overall, Sweeney Todd: The Demon Barber of Fleet Street is a very unique film, and that's why it comes in at number 2. But coming in number 1 is going to be The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is one of the greatest animated films of all time, and it is one of the first animated horror films that I have seen. And Tim Burton just knew what he was doing. Now, it was directed by Henry Selick, but Tim Burton did have involvement in it, so that's why I included it on this list. But this is number 1 easily. Easily number 1. I watch this film every year, and it never ceases to amaze me at how this was done in 1993. So, The Night Before Christmas comes in at number 1. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and post notification bell so you know for a video. I'm Peter. Thank you for watching.